Good day, my name is Aliya Turymbaeva from school 17 at school Janauzian town. Today I want to present my lesson theme, 8th grade, in unit 9, the world of words, vocabulary and languages focus, school life verbs. My learning objectives is to appropriate subject-specific vocabulary and syntax to talk about range of general topics and some curricular topics. Recognize their attitude or opinion of the writer in a range of unfamiliar general and curricular topics, including some extended text. Use a growing variety of modal forms of different functions: obligation, necessity, possibility, permission, requests, suggestions, prohibitions on a range of familiar general and curricular topics. And lesson objectives: all learners will be pronounce the name words to do with school life, recognize the form and use of should and must. Level of thinking, low thinking levels, knowledge and remember application. Student special needs, list and recognize some subject-specific vocabulary. Second group, C level, low intelligence. Assessment criteria, demonstrate an ability to organize and express idea clearly. Apply topic-related vocabulary in speech appropriately, arranging words and phrases into well-formed sentence. Classify modal verbs for different purposes. The next slide, please. Nowadays, in teaching methods of students, all countries use an effective learning for all students, even for students' special needs. To this occasion, I choose an effective method of teaching for my students too. In my lesson, all methods of teaching directed in functional English soft skills for low-level thinking. At first, for lead-in, I get concept checking question by signal questions for whole class. This strategy develops knowledge and understanding skills, and students predict what lesson will be demonstrated next. For the pre-reading stage, I choose task cloud words. For whole class, in this task, students works with active vocabulary, choosing and fill in the gaps, dividing into 3 groups: positive, neutral, and negative. For the next lesson method teaching, directed functional skills. The next pre-reading stage, I choose cloud words whole class. In this task, students work in a vocabulary activity. By dividing the words, students develop their reading for specific information and improve their memory and critical thinking. The next task is multiple choice for individual work at while reading stage. In this task, students recognize attitude or opinion about the topic. By choosing the one variant of answer, students thinks, finds, and shares with ideas. The next task, scheming for reading specific information. Choosing this strategy, students improve their observation and notice the words which they are searching and connected with modal verbs. The following strategy is odd one out. For peer work, students choose one of the words which describes the meaning of the sentence. In this task, students use a growing variety of modal forms of functions. I think in all schools fit students' special needs as mine. My student is low-level thinking, which has low intelligence at learning subject. According to this, I choose the task fill in the gaps which students work individually with supporting teachers' attention or classmates. And the final post-reading stage, I prepare the task discussion for group. Students conclude answering the question by using the modal verbs. And of course, they assess and give opinions of the lesson with worksheets. The next slide. To the task analyze, I choose sum of tasks. The task contains to the functional English subskills of reading. This task represents concept checking questions, signal question. With this strategy, students develop knowledge, understanding skills, and expresses their opinions about the upcoming lesson plan. Students answer the question, speaks, and discusses. Level of thinking, understand and explain their ideas. Next task, reading for detail. The multiple choice with completing this task, the student associates the necessary text with the words and complements it. And they improves reading skills. chooses the one of parents. Students assess verbal for individual work, check the meaning, choose the words. Reading for specific information, students do skimming. This strategy helps to students refers to looking only for a general or main ideas, and they read overall understanding, which only what is important. Use of growing variety of model forms. For this assess criterion and work in pairs there and identify right model verbs and divide into two columns. For the conclusion group, for the reading for gist, by answering the questions, students conclude their ideas and achieve a better understanding of the matter and the discussion. Asking and answering question uses modal verbs shares with ideas. Next slide, please. Differentiation by student special needs, objects list and recognize some subject-specific vocabulary. As you know, I demonstrate my students before his low intelligence. According to this, I choose a task low thinking level, fill in the gaps. In this task, students finds points, the words and writes and talk about it. For resources, I use visual aids and worksheets. For scaffolding, I prepare illustrated flashcards with achieved vocabulary and give time to think more and complement his ideas clearly. Interaction students share with his idea and supporting in all his action with verbal assessment. Next slide, please. Learning objectives is used appropriate subject-specific vocabulary and syntax to talk about a range of general topics and some curricular topics representatively to this object. I choose a low-level task which students identify and classify brief words from the text and writes, then talk about it. For descriptive, students find points and writes then speaks the words correctly. Each answer is 1 point. During the task, students read the words and thinks, then compares with the text by talking to the class. Completing the task, student develops thinking, interest in the subject, and ability to explain his opinion freely. In order to teach with effective learning with this method gives for students developing the ability for critical thinking, can freely express ideas, and the students choose low-level thinking will prove their ability in the learning subject. Thanks for your attention.